Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back! Of course I'm back, I'm not going anywhere. Beast! Peekaboo, I see you because... Oh, damn it! Now I don't have my fan for the video. I'm YouTube famous now. I want my fan so bad. Available in 2021, the album. Some of you out there are like, thank God we don't have to deal with that fan through the rest of the video. The album, Dad. I guess I need some more practice, don't I? AF. Rock on, gold dust, woman. Beast. All right, let's get into today's video. Before I do, though, I want to say a very special thank you. You know who I love. AdamandEve.com for sponsoring yet another video on this channel. I have worked with them now, I think it's been close to 2 years. I love AdamandEve.com. They have been so fantastic to me. So many of you guys message me on Twitter and Instagram, and you've sent me emails and about how you've used my code, which my code is Code Peter. And with my code, you get 50% off your first item plus free shipping and handling in the United States and Canada. They also have a 90-day hassle-free policy, which means you can send anything back if you get it and it's not what you want. They also have 24-hour customer service if what you get, you have no idea how to use it, or you have a complaint, or maybe even you just want to call them and tell them how happy you are, you know, that you used my code. You guys should call AdamandEve.com up and say, hey, we love Code Peter. It makes us so happy. And when you use my code at AdamandEve.com, it makes you happy, it makes me happy, and it makes Adam and Eve happy. And also 20% of their proceeds go to the prevention and fight of HIV and AIDS around the world, which I love any kind of business that has a cause to it. So thank you so much, AdamandEve.com, for sponsoring yet another video. And if you guys use my code, you know, if you don't feel like you have to, everything comes anonymously, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I won't know that you used my code unless you tell me, but and you don't have to tell me what you got. But just, so many of you are like, oh, like my husband and I, or, you know, my boyfriend and I, or my partner and I, we, you know, or just myself, I used your code, and thank you so much for your code. So, and you know what? My code is supposedly floating around some Facebook group, which I think is kind of fun. So anyway, thank you so much, AdamandEve.com, for sponsoring yet another video on this channel. Okay, let's get into today's drama. Woo! I can't believe the Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein drama is continuing, but it is, okay? Oh, by the way, I just want to say this really quickly, and I don't know what time this video will get up, but I am doing another popular, unpopular opinions video this weekend. So I put it up on my Instagram last night. Go follow my Instagram, please. I would appreciate it. And I post a lot of really good selfies over there. Prune. You have to turtle and then prune. That's how you get the perfect picture, okay? And then you have a little, I think I will one day be known for my signature smirk, okay? It's kind of like this. Turtle, prune. That's from Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. I learned that. They prune. What you do is, and you go, prune. That's how you take a picture. Somebody is calling me. Oh, it's my good Judy Tanya Jean. You prune, and then you give a little smirk. That's the Peter edition, okay? You go. That's the perfect Peter selfie. And if you go over to my Instagram, almost every one of my pictures is like that over there. I also post all the books for Peter's Book Club on my Instagram, and that's kind of where I have it over there. This month, the books for Peter's Book Club were The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Medovsky and My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I've already read both of them. I'm reading my 90th book for the year right now, okay? My goal was 102, and I'm going to make it, and I'm so excited. And then the book choice for a true crime book club this month was Behind the Horror, and it is like all the true stories that, like, you know, inspired the movies like The Exorcist, Amityville Horror, Silence of the Lambs, Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a bunch of them in there. So yeah, so that's really, really exciting. And for next month, my book pick for the month of November for Peter's Book Club is Apples May Fall by Liam O'Yeardy, who I loved reading Big Little Lies and the TV show. I think I saw the whole first season of the TV show. I haven't seen the second season of it. And then the book for a true crime book club is called, I believe, if I get this right, okay, it's called The Glitter in the Dark City, and it's about a drag queen who was murdered in Louisville, Kentucky, and two gay guys, I think they were a couple, that are accused of the crime, and it's kind of, anyway, it's kind of also like, if you ever read, it's being compared to, it's just brand new out, if you've ever seen the movie or read the book, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, it's being compared to that. So it's really about the background story of kind of the gay culture of Louisville, Kentucky, of which I used to go out a lot in Louisville, Kentucky to the Connection bar complex, and so I'm really excited about reading this book. All right, let's get into today's drama, which is about Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein, and my battery is already at the halfway mark because I just did a review video, so I'm like, fingers crossed that my battery is going to last through this video, but we'll see, Okay, so I started seeing a lot of stuff come up this last week about Ethan Klein, talking about James Charles, and then I saw a lot of stuff coming up where Ethan Klein had defended himself against some TikTok that was made about all of the times that Trisha Paytas made fun of Ethan Klein's Tourette syndrome. So those were two things that I wanted to talk about today. And, you know, it's interesting to me, when I was looking this stuff up and I was reading articles and I was looking for tweets and stuff like this, you know, all of this frenemy stuff happened back in June, and we're now in October. You know, what is that? June, July, I didn't get my glasses on, so I can't do math. What is that? Oh, I needed my glasses for this. Okay, June, July, August, September. I mean, we're 5 months down the road from all this, and this seems to just continue, right? And it's interesting to me, watching all this unfold, that there's kind of two sides to this camp, okay? And I have to say, this is a really good example of when you see diehard fans sticking up for their people, because the people that, I think, well, I should say the diehard fans of Ethan Klein, and then the rest of most of the majority of just people that don't care, side with Ethan Klein on all of this, and then the Trisha Paytas fans are just like, Trisha's doing nothing wrong, right? So I thought we could talk about it, and I kind of want to hear what you guys have to say at this point, you know? Because for me, I have to just, in being completely unbiased and objective, okay? You know, there was a point where Ethan Klein came out in a video and he said, I am not going to be talking about Trisha Paytas anymore, right? Now, I understand the argument, right? That when Trisha Paytas brings up Ethan's name, that Ethan should have a right to defend himself. I totally agree with you 100%, okay? Like, I understand that. Like, I get you on that, okay? But I also think for Ethan's well-being, okay, and for Hila's well-being and the families, right? For his part of the family, I think, like, at some point, you just have to be like, I'm not going to engage in this anymore, okay? I mean, Trisha Paytas is somebody that thrives, lives, views, subscribers off of drama, right? So anytime you're gonna be in any kind of inner circle with Trisha Paytas, you're gonna be involved in some kind of drama. And I think that Ethan knows that, right? So it's like, yes, and this is where I feel really split on it, because I feel like, yes, Ethan has absolutely every right to defend himself, but at some point you have to, you know, like, rise above that and be maybe the better person and say, you know what, I'm not engaging in this anymore. Let Trisha twirl. I talked about this in my Peterisms video the other day, that probably one of the best pieces of advice I was given this year by my sponsor was, let them twirl. When people are talking about you, or people, you know, you're not, I learned that from like Maya Angelou years and years and years ago, when she did an episode with Oprah Winfrey, and Oprah Winfrey was saying, all these people are talking about me in Stedman, and I'm in the newspapers, and Maya Angelou said, you're not in that. And I know this is a hard lesson to learn, because it took me 49 years to learn it, you know, and I still don't think I got it 100%. And so she said, she goes, I know, but like they're talking about me. I'm in the tabloids. I'm in the newspaper. People are talking about me. And Maya said, but you're not in that. That's not about you. That's about them talking about you, but you're not in that. Like, that has nothing to do with you. So when Trisha Paytas comes out and pokes the bear of Ethan Klein and says all this kind of stuff, which it was funny because I was just talking about this in a video not too long ago, that Ethan Klein was poking the bear of Trisha Paytas. You know, when that happens, it's like Ethan Klein does have a choice to rise above it and say, I'm not going to engage in this, okay? So does Trisha Paytas. And recently, Trisha Paytas, when Ethan Klein came out and said some stuff, this was my last video that I did about them, I'll link it below, you know, Trisha did not respond to any of it. Trisha didn't say anything. So it's like, at this point, you know, I'm like, can we please just maybe, like, either you guys both want to be engaged in drama, or you're just never going to say anything again about this, right? And interestingly enough, in a podcast recent, or not a podcast, well, I guess it is, on the H3, an episode of H3, Ethan was talking about this extensive music video that Trisha Paytas just did. and that this music video probably cost $100,000, right? And he was saying that he was really worried about Trisha running out of money, you know, and that Trisha lives this extravagant lifestyle and whatever. It's interesting that he mentioned that, because I have noticed recently that Trisha is really, really pushing her, like, private account. And so I was like, this is, you know, like, Trisha hadn't done that for quite some time. I mean, Trisha always has pushed that account, but, like, recently has, like, really been pushing it. And I was like, this is interesting. Also, Trisha is posting videos on, like, all of their channels on a pretty regular basis. I saw some tweet and somebody said, you've posted, like, 6 videos a day on 3 channels or whatever for, like, you know, Trisha's doing these meditation videos and stuff now for, like, the last 3 days, you know? And hey, listen, as somebody that posts 4 to 6 videos every single day, that takes a lot. It's a hustle, you know? And I will say this, I mean, Trisha Paytas is not somebody that has a team. Trisha Paytas is not somebody, I mean, Trisha does their own editing. Trisha uploads their own videos and stuff like that, and so, and doesn't edit as like I do, you know? I remember back in the day, Trisha making some joke about me saying that I was, like, uploading 2 and 3 times a day. And then it was interesting because, like, a year later, Trisha was posting 9 times a day, you know? So anyway, it is what it is, though, you know? So anyway, I do think that maybe there's some worry there of Trisha Paytas and finances or whatever. Who knows? I'm not to speculate about that, I guess. Because, I mean, none of these YouTubers are ever going to come out and say, like, well, we are hurting for money. But the reality is, okay, that, you know, when people aren't watching YouTube videos as much anymore and your views are going down and your subscriber count is going down and you've caused so much drama that it's really affected your reputation and you're not getting the same sponsorships that you got before, because these people, they want to say, oh, AdSense doesn't matter, but they're still not getting the same sponsorships they were getting anymore, you know? They all joke, like Trisha Paytas and Jeffree Star and all these people, about AdSense. It's just, you guys, if you looked into how much these people were making on AdSense a month, I mean, it's astronomical. I mean, it's literally hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million. You know what I mean? Like, they're making huge sums of money off of AdSense on YouTube. So for them to act like that's just a drop in the bucket, to me, is just, first of all, it's really offensive to their audience that is, like, working really hard at 2 and 3 jobs, you know, and going to school and trying to do all this kind of stuff and raise their kids, to just act like, oh, that AdSense money that I make, that's nothing. It's basically just an advertisement for my products that I'm selling, right? Well, now we're seeing that Jeffree Star can't sell out of mystery boxes. He can't sell out of anything. So maybe the AdSense money does mean something to you to keep up your lifestyle a little bit, you know? My battery died right as I was going off on a rant about all these people. You know, like, I just feel like it's disrespectful to your audience to say, you guys watching my videos doesn't really mean anything to me. You know, like, I don't make any money off that anyway, so it is whatever. Well, if you don't make any money off of it, then don't put any ads on your videos. If the AdSense means nothing to you, don't put any ads on your videos. You know, like, just demonetize it yourself and let your audience watch your videos completely ad-free. If the AdSense doesn't mean anything to you and it's not a source of income for you and it's not part of your career, just demonetize those videos, you know? It's just a drop in the bucket for you anyway. So anyway, Ethan Klein was saying that he was concerned about Trisha Paytas' finances and all that kind of stuff. And again, there was very mixed feelings about that. If you, like, looked at the audience, you know, there was the Ethan people that were saying, hey, that's really nice that Ethan's concerned about Trisha Paytas' finances. And then there was the Trisha people that were saying, why does Ethan have to say anything about Trisha's finances? On and on and on. I do think it's, you know, this whole idea of, well, I mean, as soon as I saw this tweet about this music video, if you've seen the music, it's the ocean one, you know, where Trisha's out in the boat and Moses is there and it's, like, storming and all that kind of stuff. Trisha Paytas has always done over-the-top music videos. I mean, this is nothing new, right? But I actually thought it was kind of funny because I was watching this and I was thinking about, what do you call it? Gabby Hanna's newest music video that Gabby just put out, you know? And Gabby literally set up, and I think came out and even said this, just set up a camera at the end of the hallway and then was doing all, you know, these acrobatics and stuff like that in the hallway. And, I mean, what was the cost of that? You know, free, priceless, because if you like the video or the song. But then Trisha Paytas does these over-the-top music videos. But Trisha's always said that they don't do the over-the-top music videos because of the cost or because they think they're going to make a lot of money off of it. They do it because they want to do it. Trisha Paytas has always wanted to be Britney Spears or an actress in a movie and all this kind of stuff. And if they can't get that, they're going to pay their way to make it be that way in their own life. I mean, there's a lot of people that do that, you know? I mean, it's kind of like fake it till you make it kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, So there's that, you know, and, but I do think it's interesting that you're going to put like I don't even know, I didn't even look to see, how many views, that music video got. Okay, let's look up Trisha Paytas. Hold on a second. Let's see, videos. Where is it even at? I don't even see it. Have they even not posted it yet? I feel like maybe they didn't even post it yet. Okay. Anyway, I can't find it, so I also don't have my reading glasses on. So there was that, okay? And then, then Ethan Klein was talking about James Charles, and he made several comments. And there are several YouTubers right now that are including James Charles in their videos, okay? And basically, I'll read you the quotes in just a second, but basically Ethan Klein is saying that if you are a YouTuber out there that is putting James Charles in his video, in your videos, and collabing with James Charles, that you are enabling the behavior of James Charles, all right? And, you know, it was interesting because, you know, whenever you talk about James Charles, you always get comments on videos that people are like, are there any police reports? Have you seen anybody come forward, blah, blah, blah. James Charles, I really don't understand how super fans of people, like, they explicitly just, like, it's like you take knives and you just cut out these huge chunks of factual evidence that has happened, right? James Charles came out and took responsibility, okay? Took accountability for not all of them, but for a couple. And I'm like, do you forget that happened? Like, do you forget that James Charles sat in a video and said, yes, this is true? Like, that happened, you guys. Okay, I mean, James Charles sat in a video and it happened. He still hasn't really said how he's worked on it, how he's changed, how he's a different person, blah, 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 whatever, right? And, you know, in recent videos, I've talked about a lot of other YouTubers that are continuing to support James Charles. Talked about Manny, you know, MUA at length. Talked about Patrick Starr just the other day, Gigi Gorgeous. And, you know, it's just, there's so many people out there that are continuing to support James Charles. And it's like at some point, and you know, it's interesting because it's like people want to know, like, well, how long are you going to continue to talk about James Charles? I don't know. Like, maybe James Charles needs to get in a video and say something. James Charles just thinks that this is going to go away at some point. It's not. Because I do not personally believe that James Charles has learned anything, okay? Because you see subtle nuances of James Charles not having learned of it. Like, for example, the picture of him in an arcade, okay? And all this kind of stuff. You know, and so it's like you see these subtle nuances of James Charles not having learned anything. And just, I don't know. So for me, you know, lessons are repeated until they are learned. And if James Charles hasn't learned a lesson and these people continue to enable him, then are they part of that the next time something happens? I don't know. I think it's an important question we need to be talking about, right? So then Ethan Klein bringing this up and saying, hey, these people that are collabing with James Charles and putting him in videos, when like brands don't even want to work with James Charles, right? Brands won't even support James Charles, okay? But yet, YouTubers will, which I've never, you know, thought that many YouTubers had high integrity anyway. A few I do, but not tons. And I think a lot of them are out for the money and they're out for the views and the subscribers. Why wouldn't you be? I mean, I've always said in videos, all of us want views because we want people to watch our videos. But at some point too, you have to say, you know, like, I don't know, maybe I can't support, maybe there's somebody else I could have in my video. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not that deep. Or, you know, come out and say, well, like, this is why, you know, I did it or whatever. So the quotes that Ethan Klein, and I'm going to have to edit these, you guys. Oh my God, I don't have my reading glasses and this type is so small. He said, I don't effing get this. I don't get it. Why are people working with James Charles? Why? That's like going and doing a collab with R. Kelly at this point. I mean, maybe a little less bad, but what's the difference, honestly? How can you put James Charles in your video? And he's talking directly to some people that did it. What's up, dude? You don't care that this guy's praying? And then he goes on and talks about the allegations. And then he comes out and he says, I just feel like these people need to be shamed because clearly they don't have an effing brain, and what they're doing is they're rehabilitating James's reputation because, look, overwhelming like majority here. These people are all enabling and rehabilitating, and then he uses the word, you know, straight up, period. And I have to say, I agree with that statement. I do, you know, it's like, and I've said this from the very beginning, like, what are the conversations that are happening behind the scenes? Are you guys having conversations like, so James, before I put you in this video and I co-sign, you know, what you're doing, like, how have you changed? Well, You see, what I learned is that I'm desperate. Oh, okay. Well, let's go do this collab, and then because you're in it, we're gonna get a lot of people talking about it, and then we'll get a lot of views on it. Give me a break, okay? Seriously, give me a break. And so there's that. That I wanted to talk about. You know, while I'm thinking about it, I just have to say, did you guys hear this whole thing on Manny and Laura's podcast that they were talking about Harry Jowsey, who is a reality star, now he has a YouTube channel podcast, Jeffree Star was just on it, and all this kind of stuff, and Manny MUA did a collab with him. This is where I kind of have an issue with, like, where you don't, I don't know, it's like, okay, so the issue is that Harry Jowsey was supposedly caught saying the F word, okay? The word that people would have called me in high school, you know? And some still do. So, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm watching this and they're having this discussion. And, you know, they made some good points, but I have to say, like, in a situation like that, that's where you stand up and you say, hey, listen, like, that word is offensive to me, okay? I'm not okay with that, and you need to learn with quickness. I actually thought that Laura in the podcast was more kind of like, hey, like, there's nothing right about that at all, right? And listen, as somebody that has learned a lot in the last couple years and has had to remain teachable and all that kind of stuff, you know, we all have moments, but I'm just kind of like, okay, so you think that that's okay to use language like that when you've literally had gay people on your podcast and done collabs with gay people? Like, you don't know that that's an offensive word to people, that you're okay. And it wasn't just the short version, it was the long version. And I'm like, you know, like that word to me is like, I don't know. And maybe it's my history with that word. I'm not a gay person that's taking that word back. Okay, that's just for me. You do what you want to do. But I know that there's a lot of people out there that are taking that word back. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe in 6 months I'll be like, yeah, I'm taking the power back on that word. But today I don't feel that way. I just don't, you know? And so I was kind of like, I don't know. To me, I was kind of like, Manny, he wanted to talk about it, but he wouldn't really come out and say this whole thing because he had just posted this video and this TikTok, which is like, again, this is where people are having issues with Manny MUA, okay? So Manny MUA is sitting there. He has publicly supported James Charles, okay? He's wearing sisters apparel, and then he's in this TikTok, and and it's like this joke TikTok where Harry Jowsey's like, oh, I'm straight, and they're like, it's some song, and it goes back and forth, and then Manny's kind of like implying, okay, you're straight, but like, you know, and then like, Harry Jowsey kisses his cheek, okay? As a gay man that has been out for over 30 years, let's just address the elephant in the room, okay? Let's just address it. Because this is a conversation, and I did not think I was going to get into all this doing this video today, but oh well, I'm going to talk about it. I don't care because I'm hot now. So anyway, you know, to say that gay men don't have crushes on straight men or whatever, to me is like just absurd. I mean, like, we have all, I think, any gay man out there sometime, there's been a straight man that's come in their way, or a straight man that they think is attractive, or hey, hell, listen, my celebrity crushes, Daniel Craig, I think is super, super attractive, right? But the thing that makes me so sad about this is kind of like the straight fantasy that is like led by all of that, which I think is so sad for the straight allies that we have that are so supportive of us. You know, I have some heterosexual men in my life that are so, so fantastic to me. You know, like my best friends, Melissa and Jason, you know, Jason has just been like, I mean, just when Alex and I were going through marriage problems and stuff like that, he was so supportive of us, so loving of us. I feel so grateful today for the heterosexual allies that I have in my life that taught me that I can have relationships with people that are heterosexual that aren't going to hurt my feelings, hurt me emotionally or physically, you know? And so then to perpetuate this fantasy world out there, I don't like it. I just don't like it. So in any way, you know, Manny's getting a lot of crap for this. I kind of think he should, okay, quite frankly, because it's like, well, James Charles is going for straight guys. You're continuing to support James Charles, and then Manny puts this TikTok up, and I'm like, okay, that's a problem. See, like, that's a problem. People are going to directly relate the two. You're putting a TikTok up where this straight guy kisses you on the cheek, and you're like, oh my God, crushing, you know what I mean? But it's like, I don't know. It's just, I could go on and on and on about that topic all day long, but I just feel like that's where you kind of like, you know your boundaries, and you know with people that are going to be supportive of you. And then also to put that video out, okay, and to put this collab video out, and then to have this person come out and, you know, like have said this word or whatever, you know, I don't know. Like, you're going to get a podcast, you know, and maybe it's marketing. Maybe they're just Laura and Manny, because he seems to be in a lot of drama lately. Maybe it's all marketing for his new release. Maybe it's new marketing for the podcast. I don't know, okay? But to have this conversation on a podcast where you're basically calling this guy out that used the F word, and then you're going to post still your collab that you did with him, oh, and a TikTok with him, why would you just say, you know what, like, I'm so offended by that no, until I get a public apology for you using that word when I just did a video with you, no, we're not going to do this, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, like, I mean, it wasn't that he just used the word, but it's come out, you know, so, I don't know, I just, like, that's what makes me kind of sad about all of this stuff, and, hey, listen, I think, like, that's where we learn things, and we say, like, those aren't words you use with people, you know? It's like, I have to say, like, this is, like... First of all, my husband taught me a very important lesson, okay? And he taught me, this was something that he learned when he moved here from Venezuela, because he was called a lot of words. And so his mother taught him this lesson, and I didn't get this at first. I really didn't, you know? But he said, you know, that words only have the power that you give them. And I understand that, right? But there are some words that have so... I cannot believe this, you guys. This battery is going to die too. Hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. My batteries have like such short life on them anymore, but I have to tell you, I'm opening this package as I'm talking to you online. I ordered a new battery, okay, at the request of the people that, my vlogerinos, all the people that watch my vlog, they call themselves the vlogerinos. Hey, vlogerinos! But anyway, I bought a new battery. It came about 2 weeks ago, and I'm just taking it out of the package now. So anyway, hopefully the battery won't die in the future, right? So my husband taught me this lesson, right, that words only have the power that you give to them, right? And I believe that to some degree. But I also believe that having learned about speaking aggressively or speaking with a harsh tone, you know, that when you speak with a harsh tone or when you speak dismissively or patronizingly, or is that even a word, or when you speak in a patronizing manner, okay, or, you know, condescending manner, and you use those words, okay, it's more than just the power of those words. Like for me sometimes, one of the things that I really, I know it's silly, but like, I'm just like, there are other adjectives out there to use, and I've been somebody that's had to learn about words that we use and the power that they have, right? And to change the way that I've spoken. I've really worked hard on it the last couple years and really asked people to educate me and teach me and things like that, you know? And so one of the things that kind of disturbs me to this day is that when people will say, oh, that's so gay, or this is so gay, or that's so gay. I'm like, really? Well, what's gay about it? You know, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's one thing when it's a 12-year-old. It's another thing when it's a 32-year-old. You know what I mean? Anyway, so there's that. And that I got on this long spectrum one about James Charles, but I do think that the James Charles situation is problematic, and I think that people are going to continue to talk about James Charles until James Charles rectifies this whole situation by actually talking about what work he's done to learn from this. This is, you know, it's the thing that's interesting to me is that in Hollywood, this would be career ending. Like, seriously, okay? In Hollywood, without even having to mention the names, this would be career ending, okay? But with James Charles, it's like, well, as long as enough time goes by and I'm working on things and I'm taking things very, very slowly, well, I'm glad that you're the victim in all of this. You know, I'm glad that you're the one that, you know, my career, you know, has been affected. Like when he was asked about cancel culture and he goes, well, cancel culture is always out there. No, girl, you need to take a look at what's going on, seriously, okay? So anyway, there's that. And then I wanted to talk about the Trisha Paytas Tourette syndrome thing. So I actually found this article. Hold on a second. I emailed it to myself. And I want to give a shout out to the person that wrote the article. So the article is from Darkinator, and it is by, hold on a second. Oh, God, I'm never going to be able to pronounce this name right. Mayhawk Zathra. So here's the article. Trisha Paytas defends making fun of Ethan Klein's Tourette, saying they were clearly joking. And it's quite a long article, but I just want to read a couple paragraphs to you. Although Ethan Klein seems to have moved on, and this is where I will say, I don't necessarily agree 100% with the point of view or the perspective of this article, and being completely unbiased. Because I feel that Ethan Klein, there are moments when Trisha Paytas has said nothing or done nothing that Ethan Klein brings it back up again. Okay, and like I said, when you've said, I'm not going to talk about this person anymore, I'm done with this, I'm moving on, right? Then if you're going to play fair to this whole situation, if you're going to make, you know, Trisha Paytas the villain of the situation, which, hey, that's fine, okay? Trisha Paytas has done so much to Ethan Klein and his family that I totally understand that, and I agree, okay? But there becomes a point when you're like, just let it go, right? So when you say that Ethan Klein has completely moved on, I don't know that I've witnessed that personally, okay? I do think that Ethan Klein still gets jabs at Trisha and says things about Trisha and whatever. Probably because he's still very, very hurt, right? Then don't come out and say that you're not going to ever talk about it. Say, I'm going to talk about Trisha Paytas as much as I want because Trisha Paytas has really hurt me. Okay, Trisha Paytas has hurt my family. And if I want to talk about Trisha Paytas every other week, I want to talk about Trisha Paytas. I would highly, highly respect that. I really would, you know? So anyway, so this article says, although Ethan Klein seems to have moved on, Trisha Paytas is still stuck in the past. Which, this is interesting, this article just came out on the 26th, and Trisha Paytas just did not choose to respond to the last thing with Ethan Klein. The YouTuber does not miss a single opportunity to talk about their frenemies ex-co-host. In a recent interview, oh, hold on a second, they talked about the time they made fun of Klein's Tourette's. While he finds it offensive, they claim that it was just a joke. In the past, they have also apologized for making offensive anti-Semitic jokes. Once again, they are back with clarification. You know, what's interesting to me about this is that I had a very dear friend of mine back in the day who had pretty severe Tourette syndrome. And I didn't really understand it at first because the way that the Tourette syndrome played out for him was different. And anyway, it was the eyes and that, but it was, he would do other things with like rounding corners and stuff. And when he explained it to me, you know, he was like so, like this is something I think that we need to talk about with the Tourette's and Ethan Klein, right? My friend was always so insecure about it. Like he knew that people were constantly catching on. Even when, you know, he was on his medication and stuff, he was so worried like what people were thinking about him and all this kind of stuff, you know? And one of the things I have to say is, that having experienced that firsthand with a very dear friend of mine that had, you know, severe Tourette syndrome, he would never have put himself on a YouTube video, let alone at the mass level that Ethan Klein is, you know? And we want to talk about mental health issues a lot. And I think it's like, hey, can we talk about the confidence that Ethan Klein has even by being in a video with Tourette syndrome? Like how hard that would have been to start. Like people want to make fun of Ethan Klein and say all this kind of stuff and whatever. But like for me, you know, like it's, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's a good example to other people that are suffering, you know, from other disorders like this. Hey, congratulations. And you can do this too, you know? Don't let things hold you back. And I congratulate Ethan on that. I think that he's a role model in that field. So I just want to say that. Okay, so then it goes on and it talks about the whole frenemies thing, blah, blah, blah. A few months back, Trisha Paytas apologized to Klein for making anti-Semitic jokes. And Trisha said at the time, it was my sense of humor at the time. And it was a repeated joke I made at the time. It wasn't malicious, but it's still gross. It was still gross, period, okay? It was only this year on an episode that did Ethan explain to me why it's offensive to stereotype Jewish people, okay, as cheap, like it never really registered. I don't, really, Trisha, like really? I don't believe that Trisha Paytas is that dumb. I just don't, okay? Recently, Trisha Paytas talked about making fun of Klein's Tourette's. In a TikTok video, Trisha Paytas talked about Ethan Klein in an interview. According to them, and there's also a TikTok going around, and this is what Ethan has responded to. There's also a TikTok going around of all of the times that Trisha has talked about Ethan Klein's Tourette syndrome. In an interview, according to them, he started having issues with everything after frenemies in it. During the show, they would make jokes, and he would also take them as jokes. When the show ended, he started calling Trisha Paytas anti-Semite and ableist. At that point, the interviewer genuinely looks confused and asks her, them, if he actually has Tourette's. When Trisha Paytas confirms that he does, the interviewer seems even more confused and says that it's like an actual problem. And then, okay, so it goes on, and it talks about the enemies. But it's like, you know, there are things you don't joke about, you know, and I have in my life made real inappropriate jokes, okay? I'll own that all day long, and I have wanted to grow from that, and I have taken a look at those jokes at the time and said, why did I think that that was okay? Not just making an excuse like, I thought it was a joke and I didn't know better, okay? That's a piss poor excuse when you're a 30-year-old, period, okay? But to look at those things and say, why did I think that was okay? At that time, what was going on with me that I was okay to talk that way? Because I'm not proud of that, and I don't like that, right? So why is it so hard to, you know, when you're being asked to say, it was hurtful and I shouldn't have said those things? I don't know why I thought it was funny at the time, you know? Not that it was an inside joke, okay? Whatever, you know? It's like when friends say to me, and hey, listen, I've said this in more videos than I can count, but it's like when friends make fun of like addiction stuff, right? Like I talked about this in a vlog not too long ago. I think it was, that I had somebody that made a joke to me about drinking, and I looked at them really quickly and I kind of put them in their place. You know, that's not funny to me, okay? I don't care if you think you're having an inside joke, or I don't care if you're trying to get close to me with whatever your joke is. Like, I've worked damn hard to stay sober for 26 years, okay? 26 years and 10 months. I've worked damn hard to do that. You know, there are people out there that are struggling every single day to hold one day together, 30 days together, 60 days together, 90 days together. And I'm not completely, comparing this to the Tourette syndrome situation, but it is similar in some way. It's like, there are things we don't joke about. And when people want to joke about that, or call you this, or call you that, or, you know, whatever, and they throw out these terms, okay, for what an addict alcoholic is, you're wishing death on that person, okay? Because to minimize it, and to joke about that is to say that you don't take their situation seriously, you know? Well, I'm sure that there are a lot of kids that don't even want to go to school because they have Tourette syndrome. So to minimize it and say that you didn't understand it at the time, well, you know, maybe it's not his to educate you on, maybe it's yours to educate yourself on. That's how I feel about it, you know? We take a lot of this stuff too lightly, and, you know, and then some of it we take too seriously. I don't know. I'm just at this point, I'm kind of like, will the Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein thing ever end? So I'd like to know what you guys think about that in the comment section below, but I would also like to know what you guys think about YouTubers allegedly, what do you call it, enabling and trying to rehabilitate. I thought that was an interesting wording, trying to rehabilitate James Charles' career. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.